Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. You're on Reptile Tips. And today, we're going to be talking about lighting and keeping your humidity in and not out. What I have here, Exoterra lighting fixture. It's one of the smaller ones. Okay. It's got the 10.0 13 watt UVB lighting bulbs. Okay. Now, one of these. You can pretty much scrounge for one of these anywhere. I mean, old computers have them. This is off of a power supply, a computer power supply. I'm going to show you something really neat. I'm sure there's people out there that have already figured this out. I do this with all my cages, all my custom-made cages that I make myself. Pays to be a carpenter, I assure you. Just have a look. Okay. I'll bring it back. Excellent for making a box and having your light fixture inside a box. Okay. With a hole cut out for your protective guard. Okay. That screws onto your box if you're using lighting inside your cage. If you can't get the right distance from your light source to the basking spot where you need it to be, which these lights are anywhere from 10 blue and green spectrum, 10 to 20 inches. Okay, that's what these recommend. I also measure, see, a lot of people too, they don't measure these bulbs like I do. I keep some very cool animals. I even keep the big ones. I keep Asian water monitors that are in the back. And I can't stress it enough how important it is to keep humidity in. Now, when you make a box, okay, what you do is when you make your box, have at least a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch on each side, front to back, side to side. So when your fixture goes in the box, you can pretty much move it around and position it the way you want. Sometimes, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. And what you do is the top of your box where the light is going to go in, what you want to do is cut a hole for your acrylic base top. And what this does is when your light source, actually you don't even need a top on your box really, if you're putting this light source inside anyway, because this acrylic piece, if you drill a hole at the top of your cage, when you press the box up inwards, the acrylic piece comes out. Okay, and your box literally is screwed in and fixed inside your cage anyway. And so that's a really good tip for that. And if you want to change your bulb, all you got to do is unscrew the screws on your box when you fix this. Okay, take this piece off and change the light source, and then screw this back onto your box to hold your light source inside. Now what I do is I usually when I make my box, if I'm putting a light source inside, is I make the hole either 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, so the light itself isn't, the fixture isn't going to fall through the hole. It just sits, because remember, you're like I said, make your box 1/2 inch front to back. This way here you have a little bit of play when your light source is in the box, and this way here, you know, you can pretty much fool around with it a little bit the way you want it. And this way here your light source doesn't fall through the box when you're changing the light bulb. So that's one little piece of equipment there that's very easy to use and find. And also with these power supply fan protectors, there is no room. Okay, these are very well welded. They're very well welded, so there's no room for claws to get in there, get stuck. Okay, there's nothing like that for their claws to get stuck underneath, so forth. I'd recommend these for bearded dragons. Bearded dragons for sure, I'd recommend these. Or juvenile water monitors. Up to no more than 3 to 4 months. So I'm talking small water monitors. So if you got other water monitors, like an Aki, like juveniles, works great for bearded dragons, young juvenile reptiles. Very nice to have if you want to have your light source inside your cages, so your bulbs aren't exposed to your reptiles, so they don't knock your bulbs around and have them explode on you and cause a fire and injuring your reptile. I am very picky about how I keep my reptiles. Very picky, and I'm always thinking. So that's one tip. Another thing I see a lot of people doing. Sorry, I gotta light one of these. Sorry. Another thing I see people doing is having their reptiles on carpet, which that is one rule that I myself will not break. That is one rule that's a no-no for me. That's the same. You're asking for trouble. That's like having an improper shed on your reptile, where the skin, when it doesn't fully shed on your reptile, when you have really shitty humidity, and they're not shedding properly, it creates a non-shedding layer of skin around the joints of the toes, tails. And what happens is when your reptile grows, okay, and the skin doesn't shed, it puts pressure, the skin puts pressure around the joints, and it's like an elastic band around their skin, and basically it cuts off the blood supply to the toes and tails of your reptile, and then it becomes a dead limb, and it just breaks, it just falls off. Basically, it's like when you get frostbite, it just becomes very very dry, and it turns white, and it falls off. And even with Asian water monitors or any type of reptile, especially monitors, though, they can lose probably a good 3 inches or more off their tail. They can lose an inch off their tail each shed if you're not careful. because if you don't check their sheds, when they shed, you don't check, and you get a ring of skin that hasn't shedded properly, and each time he doesn't shed properly, you're going to get that hard ring of skin that's going to cut off the blood circulation, and he's going to lose his tail. And I've seen a lot of Asian water monitor owners out there that don't look for this problem, and most of them, when you look at their reptiles and you look at their Asian water monitors, you notice that their tails are a lot shorter. Their tails should be 2 times, if not longer, than the body length. And that just drives me up the wall. I've never had that problem, never will have that problem, and I just hate when that happens. And to me, that's like me being if that ever happens to me, that would just it would make me feel like I'm not doing my job as a reptile keeper, and I don't like seeing that happen. And the same thing with having your reptiles on the carpet. When you get carpet fibers wrapped around their fingers, and their nails can get caught in the carpet, and the fibers wrap around their limbs and cuts off blood circulation, and that's one of the reasons why they lose their fingers and toes. So those are some tips. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of some of those tips of shedding. Anyway, another thing I want to point out, I see a lot of reptile owners that don't feed their monitors green stuffs, and that also pisses me off, because even though they're carnivore, they will still eat greens. And I don't care what anybody says, greens are beneficial to reptiles. Okay, vitamin D, iron, okay, vitamin E, vitamin C, okay. Now, phosphorus, vitamin C, yeah, not so much, not good friends. But yeah, a lot of fruit is just not good for your reptile. Me personally, if I were to feed any type of phosphorus fruits, I'd stick to berries and very little on their diet. But yeah, greens are beneficial regardless. It doesn't matter what reptile you have. Snakes are a little different. They mostly feed on rodents. And me, I'm so picky. I love snakes. Okay? I am so picky that I also have light sources for my snakes. Lighting is still beneficial to your snakes, regardless. It don't matter. Regardless. And natural sunlight, that's another tip. Get them out in the sun any way you can. This is Chris signing off. Reptile Tips. Have a good one.